mentioned that they were not going to be on the call today. So I am going to go ahead and just jump right into it. I'm filling in for Maria today. We are going to go ahead and start recording the presentation and the meeting. And then we're also going to take we're going to take attendance. My colleagues here will take care of that. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and please let me know if you can see it. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So this is a meeting for the Washington Avenue Parking Benefit District. Today is August 16th. Okay, there we go. We're going to take a roll call as we go through. And then we're going to go through the meeting minutes and ask for a vote on approval. We're going to talk about the flock cameras, and then we'll go through some financials, give you a compliance update, and then just open it up for public comments and an open forum at the end for any questions. Since I'm filling in for Maria, if there are any questions that come through that I'm not aware of or I cannot answer right away for you, I will definitely get you an answer for them.
Okay.
Okay, so just a second. Okay, so did everybody have a chance to review the meeting minutes that were sent out?
Yes.
I did, yes.
Yes.
Okay, are there any comments, any questions?
No, nothing from me, no additions.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Minutes have been approved. Thank you. Okay, so just to talk a little bit about the flock cameras. So the HPD contract is on City Council agenda for tomorrow. And I did confirm earlier this morning that it is actually on agenda. It's item number 23 for anybody that wants to follow it. And the as far as the PPD is concerned, Maria indicated to me that we're going to budget for 12 cameras. I think initially it was 10, but now it's 12. Those will cost about $30,000 per year. And then there is a yearly recurring licensing fee of $30,000 as well. If the committee decides to move forward with this, then you know, obviously it's a go. But if we decide not to move forward or to move in a different direction, the funding for this will be unencumbered and returned to the PPD. We are under no obligation at all to spend the funds or install the cameras if we decide to go in a different direction. Including the line item in the budget really only facilitates it if the committee approves the project. So are there any questions, any comments on the flock cameras at all? I think once it goes through council tomorrow, and if there's no tag or anything and it gets approved, the contract gets approved, then I'm sure we'll let the committee know.
I have a question. Is that
Sure.
30,000 for the 12 cameras and then another 30,000 for licensing?
No, the 30,000 covers the cameras and the licensing for the first year.
Okay.
And then on an ongoing basis, there is a $30,000 cost for licensing. And then I have a slide that's coming up a little bit later that will show you what the budget looks like. And I think I shared the budget earlier this morning with the group. But yeah, essentially going forward, it's $30,000 a year to keep these running. Any other questions or comments on the flock cameras for now?
So
Okay.
I'm sorry, the item on the agenda tomorrow, what specifically is that? I mean, are we piggybacking on a larger initiative by council to approve a flock contract?
That is correct. So HPD is the driver behind this. And ARA, and specifically Park Houston, is represented on the contract as part of it. But we are not the main drivers behind the contract. This would be, as far as I understand, I haven't looked at the contract itself specifically, but I do know that it is an HPD contract. And we're just part of it.
So HPD is just looking for funding from council to
Correct.
approve some. Do we know the magnitude of the contract they're asking for approval for, like 100 cameras, 50 cameras, 500 cameras?
I think the total value of the contract, so this will be a 5-year contract as usual. That's what the city approves contracts for. I think the total value of the contract, Mark, is about $6.5 million. So it's
Okay.
pretty large, pretty large.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And obviously our portion of it would be, initially the 12 cameras,
Right.
and the cost associated with that. And then we put in that if the committee decides to go forward with this, there would be a yearly cost to keep these cameras, running for the PPD.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So the next slide that I have is just some parking meter revenue by locations. I think this was asked for on the last meeting, kind of a breakdown. As you can see, the first 3 columns on the left are the park mobile zones, and those are for, they cover the 5,000 through 5,400 Washington area. And then the rest of the columns are just the most used and most popular meters in the area, if you will. Zone 47858 is 5,000 through 5,400. Zone 47857 is off of Washington. That's for Lillian, Center, Roy, Fowler, Silver, etc. And then zone 47856, the third column, is all the other zones in Washington.
80 plus and throw that in.
Are
Sorry.
you saying something, Mark?
No, I was looking at the numbers, and you're saying that the first 3 bars are coming off of the not the meter, but the pay station, pay by phone, basically.
Yes, from Park Mobile.
Right, and those 3 bars represent receipts within that 4-block stretch of Washington Avenue, right?
That's correct.
So then when you throw the 900 Sandman, the 1000 Roy, the 4900 block of Center, the 5100 block of Washington, and the 5000 block of Washington, and the 5300 block. So basically 100% of the revenue is coming from meters in a 5-block radius. 4-block, not radius, 4-block strip.
Yes. Yes, the lion's share for sure.
Let me clarify. The second bar, 47857, is for the area outside of that boundary. Like Lillian, Roy. So only the first bar is that 5,000 and 5,400 block.
So what is the 7897? Is that the rest of Washington?
Yes, those are the rest of the meters on Washington Avenue themselves that are not part of that 4 or 5 block zone that makes the 25.32% revenue in Park.
Okay.
So that's that's the 7856 Holt, right?
The 7857. I mean 7856, yes.
Yeah,
The 7857 sits off of Washington, meaning Center Street, Roy Street, Knox Street. These are the streets that do not sit on Washington Avenue itself.
Gotcha. But I guess what I'm trying to get to here is, so you're saying I don't have my glasses on, the 856 bar, that 11.89%, that's essentially everything that doesn't exist within all the additional revenue that doesn't exist within a 5-block strip within the parking benefit district that is basically represented by either the 5,000 block of Washington Center or Lillian through the 5,400 block of Washington Center or Lillian. You're saying that 856 is everything else except that.
856 is on Washington Avenue itself. Washington Avenue. That is not between, I believe it's the 5,000 block of Washington and the 5,400 block of Washington.
Gotcha. Okay.
5,000
okay,
to 50. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. No, I got it. Okay. I'm clear.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any more questions or comments on this slide before I move on to the next one?
None here.
Okay. Okay, so in the last meeting, we talked about 4900 Lillian, and I'm happy to report that pay by phone is on both sides of the street now. But there is a current active construction permit at that location. And I don't know if Holt, if you want to say anything about this particular meter at all, or we just wanted to report that it's been pay by phone signs are now on both sides of the street.
Yes, we do have pay by phone signs on both sides of the street of 4900 Lillian. On the south side, I believe it's TxDOT's doing the work on Durham, and they're actually storing construction material in that parking zone. But we rode through the other night, and people are still parking. So enforcement is going through and checking and everything, making sure everyone's paying.
And then I know one of the things that we've been working on is getting an electrician to give us a quote for that Dark Horse Tavern meter repair. We have received the quote, and we are working with that electrician to get the meter repaired. That's a work in progress.
Okay.
Okay, so here is a snapshot of the PPD budget that I sent out earlier today in the spreadsheet. The only change really here is we increased this from, I think it was 25,000 last time we looked at it. Now it's 30 to reflect the 12 cameras. And then we added right here is where that recurring cost would be beginning in FY24 next year, if we decide to move forward with this. Everything else on here is the same from last time.
Okay.
Let me move on to the next slide. This is a snapshot of the financials. The PPD last month in July made almost $21,000 in gross revenue. That was actually the second highest amount for a 1 month period since the inception of the PPD. And the only other time that we made more money in the PPD other than last month was July of last year, July of 2021. So July has definitely been a good month for the PPD over at least the last couple of years. We've issued 213 expired meter citations during July. That's on par, on average with what we've seen. And then occupancy was at almost 47%. And again, this was the second highest month on record. The only month that beat it was July of last year. So the PPD is definitely doing pretty well as far as numbers are concerned. Any questions on this before I move to the next slide?
No.
All right, this is just basically a summary of what I just went through briefly on the previous one. Again, we issued 213 expired meter citations. The one addition on this slide is that we had 104 tows, RPP tows in July. And so I think that's a healthy amount based on what we've seen. So So there you have it on this one. And then on this slide, this just gives you a breakdown of the Demeter transactions that we've had. And again, July was very, very strong. Demeter transactions are at a very healthy rate. I'm noticing that the average transactions is up in the PPD over the last at least 5 months or so since March. It's steadily gone up. And then the expired meter citations are right around the averages that we saw at least for the past fiscal year. So it looks like we're kind of continuing the strong performance that we saw in FY22. Any questions on this?
We had requested a review of the area parking rates. Was that looked into?
Yeah, so we are looking into that. We're finalizing numbers and research, and honestly, we just didn't feel comfortable putting anything for today's meeting, but we will definitely have this for you by the next meeting.
Okay.
For sure. Okay, so there was a survey that was sent to the committee just to kind of rank priorities for projects. Obviously, as you can see from this slide, pedestrian infrastructure ranked pretty highly for #1 and #2 choices, and then followed by, security also ranked pretty high. However, and this is just a suggestion, for pedestrian infrastructure projects, we do recommend that we should seek kind of a partnership with city capital improvement plans, TERS projects. So that way, and the thought behind this is that we can use the PPD funding to help accelerate already existing projects or projects that are about to come on through the TERS or the city cap or the CIP basically for the city. We can use those funds to help accelerate those projects versus just starting something from scratch ourselves, which could be pretty expensive to do on our own. I don't know if there's any. Huh?
I was just going to say, what I would also say is that there has been a Houston Galveston Area Council approved study of the Washington Avenue corridor. So that's also something that we need to take into consideration as we're looking at potentially any infrastructure improvements or things like that, because depending upon what comes out of that study might dictate what that pedestrian realm is going to look like going forward.
Okay, and I'm sorry, and you said this was the Galveston?
Yes, it's a HCAC study that's been
HCAC,
approved. Yeah, for the Washington corridor there. So, and I don't know the timeline of that study. I can get it, but point being that, depending upon what comes out of that study might dictate what that, what the future of that public realm looks like from an infrastructure perspective, and, where they might also be able to come to the table with funds too. And so we just need to keep that in the back of our mind as we consider things like that. We don't want to throw money at something that then turns around, 2 or 3 years later and gets replaced.
Yeah, for sure. I will make a note of that, and then I'll follow up with Mario on that and see if how we can kind of work alongside of that. And like you said, depending on what happens with this study, that might give us some structure to move forward.
Yeah, and my mind says I think they're going to kick that study off at the end of this year.
Okay.
But I can get more information about that. But once again, if we're talking about crosswalks, if we're talking about things that may be scrapped, a couple of years down the line, we just need to understand what the scope of the study is. What the outcome of this. Let me back up. We just need to keep that in the back of our mind.
Yeah. Okay. Will do for sure. Okay. There was one thing that that Maria mentioned about LED light project. The traffic engineer did approve the concept and the project. The PPD, obviously, if we move forward with this, we would be responsible for the installation and maintenance of these lights. We are currently researching the costs for this, and hopefully we'll have something for you by the next meeting, but it's definitely something that we're looking into as far as costs and things like that.
Okay, fantastic.
Can you just, I'm sorry, Mark or Keith or anybody else on the call, can you give me a little bit of background about what's involved with this, Ellie? What's the concept behind this? This is stuff that goes around the traffic lights in the area, or?
Are you talking about the LED lights?
Yeah. Or part,
Keith,
stop signs.
we're saying LED no parking signs. Is that what we were talking about? Or were we talking about? We're talking about putting it on top of the. Well, a light on the parking signs, or no parking signs, or a light on the pay stations. Yeah, I think originally we were talking about was like illuminating the no parking signs.
Yeah.
But also, I know there's some pay stations in some areas that are dark along the street, and
Yeah.
illuminating that pay station as well to bring people's attention to it.
Okay.
I don't know that we've completely fleshed out the concept. I know that we brought up the idea of can we illuminate some of this stuff to
Yeah.
bring people's attention to A, the fact that it's no parking, and then B, the fact that there's a pay station and here's where you come pay.
Okay.
So what you're saying is the traffic engineer said he doesn't have any heartburn with that, so we need
Yeah.
to flush out that concept and what that might cost.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So from obviously we'll continue researching the costs, and like I mentioned, we hopefully will have a little bit more concrete idea by the time we meet next month.
Okay.
And then at that time we can kind of present what we have at that point, and then flush out some of the ideas behind this at that time.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. That brings me to the end of the presentation for this. I'm happy to open. I don't know if we have any public. Anybody dialed in? Kelly or Jennifer?
Well, we have a segregated SBA now.
I don't think we have any public.
I don't think we have any public speakers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's open forum now, so happy to take any questions, any comments that you may have at this time.
So basically what you're saying is item 23 on the agenda tomorrow is this flock contract, and assuming it either passes tomorrow or gets tabled and passed the following week, that will open the way for us to decide whether we want to spend the capital to deploy those cameras into the zone. Is that my understanding of kind of the way the timeline of this would work?
Yeah, so once this passes council tomorrow, then at least that gives us the green light to go ahead and kind of start formulating plans and things of that nature. So, but the first hurdle that we have to go through is just to get the actual contract approved through council.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I know that the flock representative, he had sent us, being the parking benefit district, a contract. Would this be something that is basically eliminated because we're now piggybacking on the city contract, such that we don't have to execute, an individual contract as the parking benefit district? I mean, funds are coming from the PBD, and he initially indicated that we would have to, basically sign a contract. But it sounds like if there's a global contract that people can work under, that's something that we could, a step we wouldn't have to take in this process.
Yes, that is my understanding too. I will confirm that is the case, but I don't see any need for why we would go out and have a separate one. Yeah, it would just be under the HPD umbrella. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
Any
really the
other
only
comments,
question I have.
questions?
Well, I guess my other comment here would be that, you know, with Caroline and with David not being able to make it today, technically we don't have a quorum, so, you know, we
Right.
couldn't conduct any business today to begin with. So
Right.
I think it's important that we try to figure out a way to reach out. And, you know, Keith and I can do this, Keith and I and Sharon can do this, but reach out to a couple of other, you know, really members of the business community along Washington Avenue to get, you know, a couple of these additional positions filled, because, you know, there are going to be scheduling conflicts going forward that are going to create scenarios like this. And, you know, if we can fill a couple of additional positions, then we can almost be guaranteed that every time we meet, we'll have a quorum to be able to conduct business. So that would be my recommendation, you know, to this group, is that we figure out a way to get a couple of more people on board with this benefit district advisory committee, so we don't run into situations like this.
Yeah. Okay, that's noted. Okay, any other comments, questions?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Keith,
Okay,
you got anything?
Melanie, is there anything else I need to cover real quick?
No, I just wanted to add, Mark, if we had 3 advisory committee members, we have a quorum, because right now we only have 5. So if we have 3 of the 5, we could conduct business if necessary.
Okay. I thought it was a quorum of all of the 7 positions that are available.
No, right now we're just considering 5.
Okay, all right. That being said, though, I'd still like to see more people on the
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah, because it wouldn't take much for 3 people to be out. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, people will have scheduling conflicts. So that's all I've got.
Sounds good. If no other further questions or comments, our next meeting is on September 20th at 12 p.m. And I am going to motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Actually, a committee member has to motion.
Oh, sorry.
Sharon, did you make a motion?
I'm here trying to do it all. Sorry. Did we?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you so much, y'all, for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have a good day. Take care.
Bye-bye.